over today's class. Uh, Before we get started, though, I was wondering, did you have any questions regarding maybe some tasks that you did last week that you want to go over right now?
No.
No? All right, sounds good. Hi, Nathan. How are you? My name is
Uh, Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We're gonna get started. I'm taking over today's class. I'm subbing in. So let's get started. If there are no further questions. So for today, we're gonna be planning to do is just understand and really go through masterpiece appreciation and kind of analyze it and go through it and critique it. Of course, the quote of the day and reflecting on that and some vocabulary and collocation. So let's get started with understanding what is even writing appreciation. So, with writing appreciation, we understand that it is important to take this opportunity to understand the writing styles and the techniques you don't usually read with classic literature. And then with that, you can find excitement and then leave those essentials behind without a trace in your mind. The more you absorb them, follow them, and use them, the more you can recreate them. Welcome, Amy, Eric. My name is Teacher Alejandro. I'm just going to take over today's class. And right now, you just got on time. We're discussing about writing appreciation. So, today's class, we're going to talk about JFK, who is a very inspirational speaker. This is a picture of who JFK is, his wife, and his two kids. Now, JFK, in short, is John F. Kennedy, who was the president of the United States. He was born January 20th, 1961. Or, sorry, he was inaugurated January 20th, 1961. So, what we're going to do is take a look at some partial text and then focus on some writing appreciation. And then we're going to change our understanding of writing with a more positive attitude and, of course, the usage of figures of speech. Before we get started, though, let's go down the list and kind of name some figures of speech that we can keep in mind. So Amy, what is one example of a figure of speech that we would might see in speeches?
Uh, I don't think I don't know.
You don't know? No, that's no problem. So let's hear from your peers. Let's see who else might know. Eric, do you know any figures of speech?
Uh, like a simile?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one. Liam, any further figures of speech you might know other than simile?
Uh, a metaphor?
Metaphor. Exactly. Yep. Let's see. Melinda, can you think of anything else?
Sorry, just
No problem. Take your, that's okay. Nathan, what about you?
maybe
Let me give,
I couldn't think of any. I mean, similes and metaphors are the only ones that I know.
yeah, they're very classic that we like to use
Yeah.
a lot. So that's totally understandable. A few that I can name right now is maybe an oxymoron, which is basically when you take two words that are completely opposite of each other individually, but when you put them together, they make a new concept. For example, jumbo shrimp. That is an oxymoron because jumbo is a term to signify something big, huge, right? But shrimp is we use that for something small. So with that being said, we need to know that like that is an oxymoron when we put them together because jumbo shrimp is a thing. They're just slightly bigger shrimp, right? But it's interesting the way we use those terms. Also, personification. Personification is a huge um figure of speech. For example, um, when we personification practically means when we take human qualities and put it in something non-human. So, for example, the book whispered of desire to be read. So books don't whisper. But when we say books whisper of desire to be read, we kind of are understanding that the book is telling us, come here, read me, stuff like that. So those are some examples of figures of speech that we can keep in mind. So here are some, here is part of a speech to kind of read out loud. Now, there is some vocabulary that I do want you to keep in mind, which is adversary. All right. So let's see. Do I have any volunteers to read this paragraph right here? Yeah, go ahead, Amy.
Finally, to those nations who would make themselves our adversary, we offer not a pledge but a request, that both sides begin anew the quest for peace, before the dark powers of destruction unleashed by science engulfs all humanity in planned or accidental self-destruction. EOP.
All right, thank you. So, this is a very interesting piece of writing where we're using the term adversary. Let's now define it. Uh, let's see. Do I have someone else who would like to volunteer reading the definition of adversary? No? All right, then I'll just choose from off the list. Oh, yeah, Nathan, go ahead.
Adversary. Uh, One's opponent in a contest, conflict, or dispute.
Mhm. And it is a noun. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so let's move on. Here is a further part of this speech, the E of the EOP. So let's see. Who hasn't read? Liam, can you please read this little part right here up until employed? And the term that we're having here, armed, which means aiming at peace. And paradox is a figure of speech that we'll go through in more detail later. But please read the first part up until employed.
We dare not tempt them with weakness, for only when our arms are sufficient beyond doubt can we be certain beyond doubt that they will never be employed. EOP.
Awesome. Thank you. So, armed, aiming at peace, for employed. These are all paradoxes, which is a figure of speech, which is a statement appearing to contradict itself. So, aiming at peace, why does it contradict itself? Why do we think? What is so contradictive of aiming at peace? Hmm, Melinda, any ideas of what uh aiming at why aiming at peace would be contradictive?
Of what?
Aiming at peace. Why would it be contradictive? Why do we think? So when we aim at something, what do we typically use when we aim at something?
Like a bow
A
or
bow, yeah.
like bow and arrow.
A bow and arrow. And when we aim and shoot a bow and arrow, typically it does harm, right? So then when we aim at peace, why is it contradictive?
Because it's like you're shooting at a piece. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, yeah, you're right. You're shooting at peace. That's kind of not what peace is all about, right? Peace is about not hurting, not causing any harm. So that's a paradox. So now altogether, when we say aiming at peace, we shouldn't take it so literally, right? Uh, because it is a paradox. What we're trying to say actually is that we're focusing. only on peace. When I shoot my bow and arrow, like when we do archery, right? We try to hit that red dot. Imagine that red dot being peace. So we're trying to aim right at the red dot, right in the middle. So that's the idea of this paradox. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Melinda, if you can please read this paragraph up here up until final war.
But neither can two great and powerful groups of nations take comfort from our present course, both sides overburdened by the cost of modern weapons, both rightly alarmed by the steady spread of the deadly atom, yet both racing to alter that uncertain balance of terror that stays the hand of mankind's final war.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we have yet both. Quite an interesting way of using both so many times. This is called a parallel structure, right? Which stays the hand of mankind's final war. So it prevents mankind's final war from happening. So this is another type of figurative language to keep in mind. So let's read this next section. Nathan, if you don't mind reading this section here.
The top part.
Yes, please.
All right. So let us begin a new remembering on both sides that civility is not a sign of weakness, and sincerity is always subject to proof. Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate.
If you don't mind reading the next part.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Let both sides explore what problems unite us instead of belaboring those problems which divide us.
Thank you. So we have this part called let's negotiate, which is called a chiasmus, which is a figure of speech. So we take a look at the second half of this expression and its balance against the first with the parts reversed. So how is it reversed? When we read both of these paragraphs, what kind of key parts make it obvious that it's reversed? Any ideas? Amy, when we look at the first part and the second part, in what way does it look reversed?
Because it says negotiate out of fear and fear to negotiate, like it's sort of flipped over.
Yeah, exactly. And that is a figure of speech. Thank you. All right, let's move on. So let's continue. Let's see. Eric, if you don't mind reading the first, actually, if you don't mind reading the two paragraphs here.
Let both sides, for the first time, formulate serious and precise proposals for the inspection and control of arms, and bring the absolute power to destroy other nations under the absolute control of all nations. Let both sides seek to invoke the wonders of science instead of its terrors. Together, let us explore the stars, conquer the deserts, eradicate the seas, tap the ocean depths, and encourage the arts and commerce.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we have this term invoke. Now let's define it. So, Amy, if you can read the definition of invoke.
Make a request for help to somebody, something. Tap, explore.
Awesome. Thank you. So, yeah, the two terms invoke and tap. Although tap can be typically seen as like you're tapping someone on the shoulder, but in this case, it means explore. and invoke means to make a request. So very interesting terminology and something that is often used a lot in speech writing, in writing in general. So keep those two terms in mind because you will see them quite often in literature. All right. Let's see here. Liam, if you don't mind reading the two paragraphs that you see here.
Let both sides unite to heed in all corners of the earth. The command of Isaiah to undo the heavy burdens and let the oppressed go free. EOP. And if a beachhead of cooperation may push back the jungle of suspicion, let both sides join in creating a new endeavor, not a new balance of power, but a new world of law, where the strong are just and the weak secure and the peace preserved. EOP.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, two terms that are bolded, Isaiah and beachhead. Let's get to know a little bit about these two terms further. So, Melinda, can you please read the two definitions of Isaiah and beachhead for us?
Isaiah, a major Hebrew prophet, beachhead, noun, a strong position on a beach from which an army that has just landed prepares to attack. Pay attention to.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, yeah, these are our terminology that we have here so far in the speech. Let's get to know a little bit more. So, uh, let's see. Nathan, can you please read these two paragraphs for us?
All this will not be finished in the first 100 days, nor will it be finished in the first 1,000 days, nor in the life of this administration, nor even perhaps in our lifetime on this planet. But let us begin. EOP. In your hands, my fellow citizens, more than mine, will rest the final success or failure of our course. Since this country was founded, each generation of Americans has been summoned to give testimony to its national loyalty. The graves of young Americans who answered the call to service surround the globe. EOP.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, in this section, we're looking at these terms, nor. So, this is called parallelism. But then we have a strong transition with begin, which is like a call for action. So, nor. What does this mean? After reading these two paragraphs, what does nor mean? Can anyone tell me? So let me see. Nathan, since you read these two paragraphs, when you were saying nor this, nor that, what kind of definition or understanding did you get from those terms?
Um, like nothing's gonna like nothing's gonna work or something because no nor is being like repeated everywhere, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it kind of means like not this, not that, not that, not that, not that. So it's a very formal way of just saying nor this, nor that, especially to represent this idea that nothing is going to happen, as Nathan said. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Amy, if you don't mind reading these two paragraphs for us.
Now the trumpet summons us again, not as a call to bear arms, though arms we need, not as a call to battle, though embattled we are, but a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. EOP. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort, EOP?
All right, very interesting questions. But before we go into further of those questions, um, what is key to kind of understand is this idea of further call to action. What does further call to action mean? Can anyone tell me? Let's see. Oh, no problem, Melinda. Da, 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 da. All right, let me see. Eric, when we say call for action, what do we mean by this?
It's like uh the words call for action kind of mean it's like a saying that shows that like action is needed.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it is absolutely a saying to say action is needed. And not only that, it's just saying that we need for people to move now. So let's see here. What we have are one term that is defined, or two terms that are defined, embattled and twilight. So, Eric, can you also tell us these two definitions for us?
Uh I know twilight means like night, but
No, the definitions are actually in the bottom. So
oh
you,
oh
there you,
oh oh oh. oh. Embattled is an adjective and it means prepared for war. Twilight is a period of obscurity and ambig ambiguity.
yep, ambiguity. Awesome. All right. And for those who are not familiar with the term ambiguity, it just basically means unknown in a way. So a period of darkness and unknown is the way twilight is being used. Any questions so far? No? All right. So the speech here from JFK uh, is asking, can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can ensure a more fruitful life for all of mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? What kind of terms is really making these questions impactful for people to be like, yeah, I want to be a part of that. I want to join that. What kind of words are being used here to make you feel motivated? What do we think? Uh, let's see. Liam, any ideas? What kind of words?
Like more fruitful life for all of mankind just makes you think that like if we join, we're gonna have like such a much better life and live more peacefully and more happy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's correct. Awesome. All right, let's move on. So we have now one section here. Oh, well, a couple more sections. And then we will move on to our writing exercise. So here, let's see. Liam, if you don't mind reading this paragraph for us.
In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. EOT.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we have this idea of resorting to personal courage. So resorting means that we're making the choice of personal courage. So when we make the choice to personal courage, right? It just means that all we have left is personal courage, which is very interesting. All right. So let's see here. Melinda, if you don't mind reading this part for us.
Which part?
The first two. So up until freedom of man.
Okay, thank you. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizen of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man.
Awesome. So what we have here is ask not, ask, and ask not but. So this is called an antithesis, where the two paragraphs also form a big parallel structure. It's a very structural approach where we're trying to guide the listener to think about certain things. All right, let's move on. So, let's see. Nathan, if you can read this paragraph for us, the top part up until own. Our own.
Finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward. With history, the final judge of our deeds. Let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking His blessing and His help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own. EOP.
Thank you. So, we have this part saying asking God for blessing and help, but doing our own work. So this kind of mentions this idea of that we are not relying solely on God's blessing and help. We have to move, we have to work, we have to do the most we can with our own hands to complete our goals. All right. So now that we got dissected this speech, uh, and dissected a lot of the figurative language that's being used, what you're going to do is write a short paragraph of any topic using ask, not ask structure. You're going to do 8 to 10 sentences, and then you're going to get 15 minutes to write your paragraphs, and then we're going to edit and discuss. Does anyone have any questions? No? Yeah, Leo?
Uh, so like, what is like the topic? So I could choose like anything?
Yep, anything.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, so 15 minutes starting now. So you have 5 more minutes left. If you do finish a little early, what I always recommend my students to do is read over your work out loud. So as you're saying your work out loud, it's very easy to find any common mistakes that you might have made in your first draft. And then also take a look at your vocabulary. See if there's anything you can improve on or make things sound a little bit more vivid. So again, if you do finish a little early, you still have around 4 minutes to complete your and revise your paragraphs. All right. All right, time is up. Please submit your responses into the chat. I am going to stop sharing. And what I like to do is just share the screen onto a Microsoft Word document, just so it's easier for us to edit on. And then this will be attached to the slideshow at the end. So I'll start editing for those who submitted first. So Eric, let's take a look at yours. So Eric, you said the situation in North Korea is getting dire. Lesson tips. This is. Are you trying to say here um that the attempts made have been not as successful as before? Like the more attempts made, the less success there's been.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so we're gonna just switch up the wording here. Uh, the more attempts made to escape, the less successful it has been. The government is cracking down. Oh, we're gonna take this out. The government is cracking down on anti-socialists in their country, and even food such as hot dogs have been get. I would say are banned here in the country. It is the point. It is to the point which we're going to take out in is not needed. Which now the citizens must ask not how they can escape, but ask how they can revolt. We don't need a comma here. A revolt against North Korea will lead to a better government. Just careful with the spell, with the comma here, we don't need it. And it's easily achievable as men over 18 must go through military training, so they will have access to weapons. It is now or never. The citizens must revolt, or they won't have a chance to do so later. Awesome. So majority of them, actually, instead of saying it is now or never, I say it is crucial or time sensitive. We'll say it is crucial. The citizens must, that the citizens must revolt. So yeah, majority of the feedback I have here is just in the beginning, where we're just switching up the wording and taking out some certain things. Any questions, Eric?
No.
All right. Liam, let's take a look at yours. So you said the world now is in such a state. Which kind of state, Liam? Is it a good state or a bad state?
Bad.
Bad. A bad state. We have made improvements in our technology beyond human comprehension. However, I must ask, this is what we really want, is a world of robots taking over every job in a sea full of trash. And then we're going to take out this. The world that God has created for us, God created for us. We don't need the has. Has. Out. Has now been fully reduced to a wasteland. I wonder, this just twice, we'll take this out. I wonder what do we even have to do now, and if there's even a meaning of life. I think I would just take out this part. It's not necessarily needed, especially because in your next sentence you say, I must ask, is the point of life now just to sit in your room and play video games while having a robot do everything for you? Is life just all about relaxing and having fun? Or is it supposed to be overcoming challenges and pushing yourself to the limit? Awesome. And because this is a question, we need a question mark. No matter what it's supposed to be, there is no going back now. Awesome. Those are the feedback I have for you, Liam. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
No? All right, no problem. So, Nathan, let's take a look at yours. So, Nathan, you said at the beginning of my robotics program, I felt very overwhelmed. The very is not necessarily not needed, so you can just take that out. This was because I didn't know much about anything. Hardware and software were my least known subjects. Just as when I thought, we have two, I thought. That I was going to make it through the season. My coach said a quote that changed everything. Ask not what success will give you, ask what you're going to give success. However, I got hit with the quote. I quitted wondering. You could just say I stopped wondering. About how I will end in the success that I may receive. Additionally, I started to focus on the outer world instead of myself. Turns out, so this needs that it wasn't so bad, and it was a great year from there. We need a comma here. We're gonna put a period here. So then you say, and then you would just start the sentence with, I thought about how I would work towards success instead of asking myself how beneficial it is before I received it. All right. Any questions regarding the feedback I just gave you right now, Nathan?
No.
All right.
Thanks.
So, Amy, let's take a look at yours. So you said, with the development of technology and science, our daily life is becoming more convenient and efficient. However, when we are enjoying such a modern lifestyle, the environment is being affected by pollution. Absolutely. Water pollution could affect that. So here we want to be firm. So we say water pollution affects, get that out, affects the health of animals who live underwater. Air pollution affects, take this out. Everything from everything from the climate to our health. Land pollution increase, take out the could, increase the probability of toxic, or we're going to say toxins, leaking into the soil. Comma, which would contaminate the food. Protecting our environment is the first step to a more comfortable life. Ask not what nature could do for you, ask what you could do for nature. Awesome. That's all the feedback I have for you, Amy. Just little corrections here and there, but overall, great job. Any questions?
No.
Nope. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing and let's move on to the slides. So that is our JFK. So let's read out this quote. Let's see here. Melinda, can you please read out this quote for us?
Why did I write? Because I found life unsatisfactory.
So Who do we think would say it, and what does it mean for you? We might not be sure about who said it, but let's ask this question. What does it mean for you? I'm going to ask every single one of you how you understood this quote. Starting with you, Melinda. How did you understand this quote? What does it mean for you? There's no right or wrong answer here. Hmm? Then Nathan, what does this quote mean for you?
Let me think.
Here, while you think, let me ask Amy. What does this mean for you? A little bit of a tricky one. So let's try to dissect it a little bit more. Why did I write? So this is a question, right? The person is answering this question, why do I write? Because I find life unsatisfactory. What does unsatisfactory mean? Yes, Amy?
I think unsatisfactory means that it's not like the person is not satisfied. Like there's some places which they think that it could be better.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just not happy. They're not happy with their current situation. So when we write stories, for example, right, they're fiction. And when we can write stories, what kind of worlds can we build? What do we think? Yes, Amy?
Of You can build like some magic worlds and some worlds in which like there's a lot of science fiction, like there's a lot of extraordinary things.
Absolutely. Extraordinary things. So, when the author is saying, I write because my life is unsatisfactory, when we write stories, we kind of get transported, right? We imagine ourselves in these magical worlds where we experience the extraordinary. So, that's what the author is trying to say here. When I write, it's because I want to escape my world and go to a new one because I'm not happy with my world. So that's what this quote means. So this is who said the quote. This is Thomas Linford Tennessee Williams. So let's get to know who this author is. So Amy, can you please read this slide for us?
Thomas Lanier Tennessee Williams Street, March 26, 1911 to February 25, 1983, known as Tennessee Williams, was an American author of many stage classics, including A Streetcar Named Desire, 1947, and A Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, 1955.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's move on to our vocabulary and collocation. So what is collocation? We're going to define that today. So can we have Eric? Can you please define this slide, define collocation for us?
Collocation. Noun. A combination of words that happens very often and more frequently than would happen by chance.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Liam, can you please read this example for us?
For example, resounding success means great success. Crying shame means great shame.
Thank you. So let's take a look of an example of apparent. So, Liam, can you please read this definition for us? Sorry, Liam, can you please read this definition?
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Wait, so which one? The whole
Apparent.
page. Oh, okay.
Yeah, technically the whole thing, yeah.
Okay. Apparent, adjective, causing or deserving strong dislike or hatred. Totally, utterly. I find the idea totally abhorrent. 2. Such a savage punishment is adherent to a civilized society.
Thank you. So let's move on to hello. Sorry, let me just I don't know what's going on. What was that? Okay. I don't know what that was. Excuse the audio. I don't know if you guys heard it, but that was interesting. So, oh, it's from the slides. Okay. Um, okay. So can someone please say uh the definition of a blaze? Sorry. Melinda, sorry, Nathan, can you please see the definition of a blaze?
Ablaze, adjective, in the process of burning. Truck after truck was set ablaze as the fire spread. Be ablaze, set something ablaze.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we have abode. Please type into the chat, what do you think what kind of word will we put before abode? Welcome to my blank abode. So let me give you a couple like 2 to 3 minutes to type into the chat what do you think goes before abode. All right, let's take a look. Cozy abode, yeah. New abode, sure, yeah. Humble abode, yeah, that's a classic. So all of those could truly apply, but humble is quite the obvious choice here. It's a very popular saying. But let's figure out what the definition of abode is. Amy, can you please read this slide for us?
Abode, noun, the place where one lives. Welcome to my humble abode. Humorous. Take up one's abode, formal or humorous. Live in somewhere. I had been invited to take up my abode at the Golden House. Of no fixed abode. Law. Without a permanent address. A 28-year-old man of no fixed abode appeared at the court yesterday.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So this is our term abode. Um, sorry, excuse the music. So the right of abode, which is law, is the right to live in a place. So for example, the refugees were finally granted the right of abode in Canada. So accolade. So accolade is a noun. So think about the two blanks that we would put here along with accolade. So make your guesses into the chat privately, and then we will take it up in 2 to 3 minutes. All right, time is up. Let's take a look. Very interesting answers here. We have granted award. We have granted and bad. We have maybe high. So let's take a look. Okay. So let's define accolade, but the two words we were looking for is awarded and the highest. So let's see here. Eric, can you please read this slide for us?
Accolade, noun. A formal expression of praise, public acknowledgement, or admiration for an achievement. 4 restaurants have been awarded the highest accolade of a 3-star rating. Earn, receive, win, plus something.
Yeah.
Award, bestow, grant, plus another something. Deserve, and the same thing again.
Yep. Awesome. All right. So let's move on to adjourn. Adjourn. The meeting was adjourned by the chairperson until further notice. So this is the definition of adjourn. So, Liam, can you please state this definition of adjourned here?
Bring to a formal close for a period of time.
Awesome. So the trial was adjourned blank. We're looking for an adverb. So what do you think should go here in the blank? Take 2 to 3 minutes and make your best guesses. Let's see our guesses. So we have postponed, we have lately. Let's see. We have today. So let's take a look. The trial was adjourned indefinitely. Indefinitely. So, does anyone have any idea what indefinitely might mean? Any ideas? So, it means an unlimited or unspecified time. So, at midday, the meeting was adjourned, and then we're looking for a preposition lunch. So, what do you think the blank here would be? Take this time to submit what you think it might be. All right. So let's see. Unknowingly is one option. Before, maybe. Let's see. Nathan, you said because of. Let's see. It would be here at midday. The meeting was adjourned for lunch. For lunch. So let's try again. The inquest was adjourned, blank, which is another preposition, further investigation. So what preposition do we think would go into this blank? Take the next 2 to 3 minutes to guess what we think the blank would go here. All right, let's take a look. So some guesses were 4, some others were maybe 4 again. So let's take a look. So the inquest was adjourned pending further investigations. So we have this definition inquest, which is a noun, and it means a judicial inquiry to ascertain the facts relating to an accident, such as a death. So just keep that in mind. It's a very interesting term, especially for those who are interested in maybe uh, investigations, crime law. This is something that a term that you might see quite frequently. All right. So that being said, we have the term adjourn. So what I want you guys to do is use the term adjourn and accolade. So accolade and adjourn. Uh, adjourn. Whoops. Sorry, let me just stop sharing and reshare. And adjourn. So with these two terms, what I want you to do is use these two terms and create a story surrounding a court case. You are inside a courtroom. Using these two terms, say what's happening in the courtroom. It is totally up to you. It's very open. However, what the goal is to use these two terms, accolade and adjourn. All right. Does anyone have any questions?
How many sentences do we have to write?
It can be as many sentences as you can. There is a time limit. I'm gonna give you guys 10 minutes to complete. All right. So try to write as much as you can in 10 minutes. Keep it vivid. Keep what we learned today. Apply some figurative language if you like. Make it vivid. But you're writing a time when you were in a courtroom. Say what's happening in it, and then you are going to use the term accolade and adjourn. All right. So if anyone needs to go through the definitions between adjourn or accolade, let me know. But they are here if you need it. All right. So 10 minutes starting now. 2 more minutes. All right, time is up. Please submit your responses if you have not done so already. I am gonna tell about the homework before we do some editing. So for your homework, what you're going to do is review, of course, what we have learned today and apply the new knowledge to your daily life at home and in school. And then what I would expect for you guys to do and submit into the forum by July 12th is write a short speech on medical insurance reform, boring Kennedy style and skills. So all the figurative speech and all the figurative language that we learned in that speech today, use those skills and what you have learned into your own short speech about medical insurance. All right. So it should be around 200 to 300 words. And again, posted in the forum by July 12th, 2025. All right. Does anyone have any questions regarding the homework? No? All right. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to get the stuff edited. So let's take a look here. Liam, I see yours. And then Eric. Okay, so Eric, you said recently a popular restaurant known as La Dolce Vita, which won multiple accolades. We don't need the comma here. Including, we need a comma here, including the best tasting Italian restaurant in the world, award. And two, I believe it should be here, award. And take this out. And world should be capitals. And restaurant should be capital. because it's a title. And 2 Michelin stars was involved in a huge scandal. They were accused of drugging their food, as food critics have argued that their food tasted too good. And we're going to take out the comment. But due to insufficient evidence, the court case was adjourned. Awesome. Let's take a look at yours, Liam. You said the award for the highest accolade 5-star restaurant was going to be announced in 20 minutes. However, just 2 minutes before the announcement was going to be made, a shocking announcement said that the $500,000 trophy was stolen. Awesome. So $500,000,000,000 needs to be hyphenated. So like this, and then trophy was stolen. Everyone was panicking. We need a comma here. Here and the representatives of each term went to court the next week to find out the thief. However, this event was adjourned the day before going to court because this is actually all fake. We don't need this part here because the host just needed, we don't need this, because the host needed more time to finish the trophy. The winners got announced. We need a comma here. And everyone had a sigh of relief. Awesome. Any questions, Liam, about the feedback I just gave you?
No, thank you.
No problem. And Eric, I forgot to ask you this as well, but do you have any questions?
I don't.
All right. So let's take a look at Amy. I saw you. Let's see. Okay. So Amy, you said the courtroom is dim and dark. I was sitting at the middle, in the middle of the very back road upon a red chair that glowed slightly in the dark, 2 hours before the meeting was adjourned for lunch. Though the meeting had not started yet, the courtroom was exceptionally quiet, as if even a needle falling onto the ground could be heard. Everyone was looking at the dark wooden chair in the middle of the courtroom. Suddenly, the heaven wooden floors on one side of the room opened, and the person in question walked in. He received the highest accolade in the fields of physics, but today he sat on the position of being judged, in the position. All right. Any questions regarding the feedback I gave you here, Amy?
No.
No. All right. Okay. So if that's everything, I'm gonna stop sharing. Thank you so much for everyone who for attending the class. I hope you learned a little bit more. Don't forget about the homework and applying what we have learned today into your homework. Does anyone have any questions regarding today's session? No? All right, then have a great week. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.